Welcome in, everybody. Michigan State Spartans Live. I'm your host, Ryan Elke. We are 10 days away from Michigan State football. That's it, 10 days. Next week, we're going to have a lot of fun diving into the start of the regular season. And it is week 0. And I have to check, what are the games this week? If there are, Saturday. We are starting. We have Big Ten action this weekend. USC is hosting San Jose State. In state, we have Eastern Michigan, starting with a MAC opponent, Sacramento State. How fun is that? Sacramento State in the MAC. In our teaser in Ireland on Saturday at noon, TCU, North Carolina, Virginia, NC State. Actually, some decent games. Stanford at Hawaii, Hawaii at Stanford. Florida State taking on New Mexico State. Memphis at UNLV. So we have games this weekend, not Michigan State. They will begin on September 4th, 10 days away. Thank you all for joining us here, Michigan State Spartans Live, here on the Voice of College Football Network. Remember to like, subscribe, follow us. Follow us on Facebook, the Voice of College Football. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Michigan State Spartans at the VOCFB. And you can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Ryan, EL_key. Follow me on TikTok as well, Postgame Walks, Elke, that's EHLKE. And I'm excited to get this season started. And we did get a big boost. One that we didn't know what was going to happen. I think I mentioned it last week, is Rodney Bullard, the wide receiver, he filed his injunction to hopefully get eligible. And, I believe there's set to meet in court this week. And before they went to court, the NCAA just says, you know what? You're eligible. We don't have to go to court, which is good because Bullard, is playing his 4th year. And the argument was that, your clock doesn't start until you're a full-time student participating in athletics for your clock to start. And with Bullard's season at Valdosta State, he was a registered part-time student. So now this news came in yesterday. So they find out 11 days before kickoff that they get a returning wide receiver, someone who was with the program last year, with Alessio last year. So that is huge news for Michigan State just to win one, I guess we'd say. Just to, not have to go through all of this and, have it dragged out even more. But Bullard last year, just 5 catches, 119 yards, and a tutty. But that's still someone that knows your quarterback from a whole year of working with them. So that is big news for Michigan State. Just some nonsense that we just don't have to deal with. And that's seemingly all we've had to cover, no matter if you're Michigan State or if you're watching any of our other, teams on Voice College Football. It seems like everyone's dealing with nonsense. I mean, as the Big Ten announced today that you cannot suit up for a Big Ten team if you have declared for the NFL draft and have signed with an NFL team. Which good, because we saw what was going on in Cleveland with and LSU, that, Todd Monken saying that he's getting calls from Lane Kiffin about a guy, and, while the guy's in NFL training camp, he's putting himself in the transfer portal. I mean, we are 10 days away from Michigan State kicking off, which puts us at what? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 4 days away from just the college football season kicking off. And we're trying to add guys to the roster. Not we as a Michigan State, like we as a society. And really as a society, this is an LSU problem. You know, whether it's with their football team and Lane Kiffin, stand-up guy, or if it's Will Wade and their basketball program, stand-up guy, trying to add professionals to the college rosters. You know, and it's not professionals that, you know, are seeking that fifth year of eligibility because they were in that sandwich class of getting a COVID year or getting the 5-5 year. It's guys that swung, took their shot, missed, and trying to relive some glory days. And it's one thing if you're trying to build this roster out in, let's say May, let's say after the draft, and this happens, we're talking about the guys are trying to leave training camp to get back to college. Like, you know, dude, like you've hit your time. Like, this is it. So it was good to see the Big Ten kind of stepping up and saying, hey, if you forgo your eligibility, because remember, in every, you know, declaring for the draft that's been posted for forever, I'll forgo my remaining eligibility and declare for the NFL draft. That means nothing now. I mean, it means as much as when these kids commit to a school, pledge to a school. Scram Couch likes to call it a pledge, not a commit. Because you're committing, then why are you taking official visits after you've committed to a school? You're not committing at all. You're still playing the game. When you call the game over, that's not how it works. So nice for the Big Ten to step in. I think it was the presidents and athletic directors voted to make that statement that if you've declared for the draft, if you've signed with an NFL team and then try to go back to college, you are not eligible to play for a Big Ten team. Like, that is a no-go. Sorry. And I believe, let me double check because I know the SEC has been meeting all day about this. I'm just sorry, so SEC kind of saying a similar thing. Their last line: college sports are for college athletes. Current confusion around national eligibility standards emphasizes the need to advance the Protect College Sports Act. So it's good that these conferences are coming out. SEC is a little hypocritical, but when are they not? When LSU is the one trying to spearhead these things, and their conference is coming out and saying, hey, we shouldn't do this. So good wins for us fans. Here the Tuesday, not the Tuesday before MSU kicks off. That's next Tuesday, but Tuesday before college football season starts. That these conferences are kind of sending the message, because as we figure out, the NCAA can make all the rules they want. It takes the 130 plus adults leading these college programs to also set that standard of not taking these guys back. Or as I was listening to part of my take on Barstool, they kind of had a fun, ingest idea of how to handle this if players want to come back to college football. Is that if you leave, you go to a training camp, you want to go back to college, you're put into a draft. Then last year's records, They said Power 5 teams only. I say you bring in, or Power 4 teams, excuse me. There's no longer a Power 5. Power 4 teams. I say you get the group of 6 in there as well. And you draft these players back based on your record last year. Now, that would be exciting. Like August 10th, you had a college football draft. That would be a fun way to handle this. Or we can just handle it like adults. Tell them, hey, you've played. You use your eligibility. You're done. You're gone. See ya. Welcome to adulthood. I mean, you come in as kids, but legally you guys are pretty much all adults here. Learn consequences to your actions. You wanted to leave. It didn't work. Figure out a new way. So it's nice to see that these conferences are stepping up, and hopefully they'll follow suit and follow their word, because that's step 2 is following your word on what you're saying. So, and now to sound completely contradictory to what I've said here the first 10 minutes of the show. There was a video that came out yesterday. It was regarding Carson Cooper and Tom Izzo. Video was from Carson Cooper's mother, who was able to bring Tom Izzo in to speak to their school. And I guess when all of the stuff was happening over the summer, we saw Kohler enter the one injunction where now he's allowed to play, commits to BYU. I guess Tom Izzo called Carson Cooper, try to get a feel on how he felt about coming back for a 5th year. And Carson Cooper said, hey, I got my opportunity. Things are going great in Memphis here in the summer league. And it's not fair to the guys you bring in, who were waiting on me. I had to wait my time. They had to wait their time. It's now their time. And Izzo saying like that, how that was the most mature answer he heard. And he was so excited to tell his staff. So, yeah, the video is from Mama Coop ×3. So Carson Cooper's mother. And, she said in her caption that, just that's what Carson told her. And she may have not fully believed it, but to hear Tom Izzo say it just kind of matches up to the story that Carson told his family. And now Carson's, moving on with Memphis. And Kohler is moving on to BYU. And, that is that. Does it feel better for us Michigan State fans knowing Izzo was checking in with Cooper to see like, hey, do you want to come back? For Kohler, who knows when that discussion happened, if it happened before Carson or after Carson, because it seemed like the Kohler train, cooled pretty quick. And maybe is that Carson or Kohler was ready to move on, just wanted a new opportunity, and knew BYU was knocking. That's 20 minutes away from his hometown, I believe, and be around family. That's great, but it does feel a little different knowing Tom Izzo was trying to play a little bit of the game. So, like I said, completely contradictory to what I just spent the first 10 minutes of this show saying that. But I mean, it's a little different with basketball. August, we're 2.5 months away still from game 1, as opposed to college football where teams are calling and we're less than 2.5 weeks. We're 4 days away from the college football season starting. We're 10 days away from Michigan State starting. For LSU, their first game is I assume September 5th, the Saturday. Yeah, they play Clemson September 5th, trying to add people to the portal. I mean, it is a touch different with what basketball teams are doing at the moment as opposed to these football programs. Like, imagine if we're sitting there on Halloween. I mean, we might be hearing it on Halloween for LSU's basketball team, as I don't know if they still have, a full lineup on their roster. And they just added RJ Lewis, who was a standout at St. John's 2 seasons ago. So, as much as we think this chaotic storm is going to calm down, like, we can't even slow down 4 days away from when the season begins. We can't even get out of this mess. So I'm glad. And to recap, I'm glad Carson Cooper is, had a great, summer camp with the Memphis Grizzlies. Things are moving forward there. I'm glad the conferences are stepping up and saying, hey, for football, if you left for the draft, want to come back, you ain't doing it here. Because there also is a slight difference from the guys that tried to leave college early and then come back a year or two later to get more. Like, as opposed to this most recent class that found themselves sandwiched in between, some coupons that would give them an extra year of eligibility, and just trying to see if they're eligible for a coupon instead of trying to, relive the glory days. So there is a difference. There is context that needs to be added. And I think that is important. Like we talked about for years as a society, like college fans, of, kids that tested draft waters and things didn't go well, if they should still be eligible, or if they hired an agent while testing the draft waters, that they were deemed ineligible, to where that needed to change. And it did change, where these kids, then could hire approved agents to go through the process to help them out to be more informed on these decisions that they're making, because it is a life-changing decision of leaving college early to go pro. But we can't have these athletes acting like Michael Scott getting a vasectomy. You can't go snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. Like, we can't. We got to be done. Like, we finally hit a point to where we have one transfer window, to where these teams feel comfortable enough having spring games again, because they're not afraid of, like, oh, if someone looks good at our spring game, they're going to enter the portal and leave our team in April. Getting rid of that transfer window to make things a little more sustainable. Because the college game is hurting right now because of the portal. It absolutely is. You can't deny it. We know it is. We're not getting the same product. We're not getting the same ROI as a fan. Like, I mean, Michigan State's a touch different because we're bringing in a new coach. So that's why we have so many transfers on this roster. The 60 plus or 50 plus transfers here at Michigan State. But look around. Every school is dealing with multitude of transfers everywhere. And that hurts the college games. It hurts the growth of the athletes. It hurts being a fan of trying to learn 60 new players, 50 new players every single offseason. Of getting the reward of, let's say, Michigan State basketball, of watching the ends of the careers of Carson Cooper, of Jackson Kohler. And for, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but how many of those kids go into the transfer portal and don't find a home? So it's refreshing a little that these conferences, because these conferences are the ones that have to make the rules. And I think they need to go the next step more than a statement and make it the official rule of the conference. I believe the Big Ten will have, I saw something on Twitter that it seemingly they have enough votes to where they could, write it down on paper as an official rule. But that's something that needs to happen. We need a little more stability in this sport. Because right now it's, if you don't like the rule, you sue, and the NCAA doesn't have a backbone to stand on in court, or there's a rogue judge that's a fan of the school that will push it through to make things all hunky-dory for their favorite university. So it's just, can we get some common sense installed back into this sport? Because that would be great. But it also seems to be a hard thing to just comprehend right now, is just common sense. It's a rough one. Like the Rodney Bullard situation, common sense. It's his fourth year being eligible, and he had to potentially sue the NCAA to be eligible for a fourth year. We're not talking about fifth, sixth, seventh, fourth. Common sense prevailed. Big Ten coming in, SEC coming in, saying, hey, if you leave, you don't have a home here. Common sense prevailing. Ironic that the SEC's trying to put out statements like this when LSU's the one making calls to NFL coaches. When Alabama started this nonsense during basketball season. Little Alanis Morissette, isn't it ironic? SEC, why don't you control the members in your house first before trying to make the statement looking like the good guy? Oh, I thought we with being 10 days away, we were done talking about, and I think I said it last week too. I'm just, putting on a broken record right now that we're done with the junk of the off season. But as each day passes, we're presented with a new opportunity where we're just sitting there going, what the hell is happening? Hoy. So, 10 days away. That's where we are. 10 days. Let me know, too, also on Twitter, if you're watching at home. Hit me up on Twitter or drop it in comments of the video, where you're going. If you're going to the game Friday, September 4th, up at Spartans Stadium, where you're, if you're tailgating, you're going to the game. What are the plans for a game? It's the Friday of Labor Day weekend. It's a late Labor Day, but I like that tradition of Michigan State. I think it's fun to kind of just have the Friday, and then we get because then we get the first Saturday, like the first full Saturday of college football, to just sit back and have some fun. Not that there's any necessarily marquee games happening on the first full Saturday of college football. LSU Clemson is the one. Um and that's it. But we get some Sunday games as well during Labor Day. There's some good ones. You have Notre Dame, Wisconsin on the Sunday. You have Ole Miss, Louisville. That's a top 25 matchup. And on Labor Day, Florida State, SMU. So it was nice kind of to have the game Friday night, get the rest of the weekend, start a football season. And for those other fan bases who had to deal with this, they're taking it away from the high school kids the Friday nights. I don't know what school your kid goes to. In my town, Clarkston, they're playing Thursday night, Labor Day weekend. Like that's just, they're working on a short week as they open this Friday, and then they'll play Thursday. Which, by the way, I'll be calling Clarkston football this year. Excited for that. Should be a good team this year. They have a couple nice recruits on that team. So Wendell Childs is, I believe, he's getting some looks at some Big Ten teams, but mostly some MAC teams. See what quarterback Alex Washenko will do. Yeah, do some more studying up this week, but should be another fun year for Clarkson football. But of course, I think us Michigan State fans are not too fond of Clarkston giving us Foster Lawyer. But if you watch Foster Lawyer in high school, the man was a bucket. Just didn't work out. So, but I'm excited. 10 days away from Michigan State football. And make sure you stay locked here on Michigan State Spartans Live on the Voice of College Football. We'll be back Thursday with another episode. Then next week is game week. So we'll dive into Toledo. We'll dive into starting lineup projections. And before we go, I almost forgot. MSU naming their captains for the season. I find the graphic here. It's making me scroll down. Of course, Jordan Hall is one of the captains. Nakai Martinez. There you go. Finally found the post. Kenny Soares Jr., Trent Fraley, Alessio Miljevic, Reese Dakeen, Jordan Hall, and Nakai Martinez. So you kind of get a nice even split there. 3 transfers in, 3 returning players. And I think none of them are a surprise. If you're surprised the punter is a captain, normally you have one special teamer as one of your captains. You have your offensive captains, your defensive captains, and a special teams captain. So kind of how that always works. So to see Soares and Fraley as your transfers and Dakeen as your transfer captains, Soares on the D line, Fraley on the O line. You have a DB captain. You have a linebacker captain, your quarterback. It's very important he's a captain or he won't get drafted high. As we know, Connor Cook leadership. If he's not captain, things won't go well for you. Don't you remember that discourse? That was fun. But that's also what happens when NFL people try to talk college football. It's amazing the NFL people that there's NFL fans out there that just don't watch college football. It's remarkable. Like that they just don't do it. Like It's on everywhere. How are you avoiding this? You're missing some great action. Yes, it's not the cleanest of football, but that's what makes it fun. And then these people come draft night. You're not looking like an idiot going, who's that? It's a lot of fun. So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Be back Thursday, 9 p.m. I was about to say 3 shows next week. Be live Tuesday, Thursday, and then post-game show Friday night, Saturday morning, probably. And by Saturday morning, I mean just after midnight. As soon as I get home from the game, we'll be going live. We'll be breaking it down. Hopefully it was a nice, easy, comfortable, fun Spartan victory to start the season off. So excited. We are 3 shows away from doing a post-game show, which finally we're getting out of the mess. I don't know if that's the last time I'll have to say it before games happen, but we are out of this mess. And we're on to the 2026 college football season. So I'm Ryan Elke, the host of Michigan State Spartans Live. I want to thank you all for watching Michigan State Spartans Live here on the Voice of College Football Network. We're live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. on YouTube. I want to thank you all for watching, and go green.